Hey everyone, it's Will here. Today we are going to be talking about 5 money habits that will make you rich or wealthy. This channel has been focused on music obviously, but we are going to be start making more investing videos and money videos. And reason being is my wife and I were actually featured on an article on Business Insider about how we were able to save up to a certain amount of net worth. And you can check the link in the description box below. And without further ado, this is 5 money habits that you can have to become successful. Number 1, get out of debt. Debt is something that eats at you. It's something that destroys your financial future. To get into debt, you have to borrow money. And in order for someone to lend you money, most of the time institutions like banks, private loan, payday loans, loan sharks, those places will charge you a high amount of interest. If you go finance a vehicle, you are charged upwards to some places even 20, 30, 40% charging you crazy interest depending on your credit report, just so you can have a loan, so you can borrow money to use that money. But people often forget that you have to pay that money back down the road, and that interest will eat away over time at the hard-earned money that you bring every single day. Debt is a big problem in a lot of society today, especially in North America. We are often taught to borrow money, to go to school, to get student loans, to have credit cards. We use debt as a way to purchase things. And if you can get out of debt and understand that debt is killing your financial future, you can succeed with money. There are so many ways to purchase things without using debt. You can save up for it. It's called delayed gratification. Oftentimes, society, we forget about the fact that by wanting things now, we are sacrificing our futures for down the road. Number 2, live below your means. This one is simple, but it is hard for people to do. Living below your means is something that we are all taught or we all hear about, but what does it really mean? Well, simply live below your means. If you make $50,000, don't live over $50,000. Spend $30,000 and save the rest $20,000. Or even better yet, if you can figure out a budget and save an exact amount every single month, you will become successful down the road. Living below your means is something that we need to practice daily, and we need to understand that a lot of people today struggle with the fact that they have to have the best thing possible, and commercials, magazines, TVs, YouTube, you're watching this video right now, there's probably ads popping up in front of you telling you that you need the latest iPhone, you need the newest iMac, you need the newest shoes, the newest laptop, and these things are often always shoved in our faces and our screen time when we're on our phone, when we're scrolling through Instagram. You see commercials all the time, and there's these companies that want to sell you things, and you just want to buy. And a lot of times we just need to understand that in order for us to become wealthy down the road, it is not a quick get-rich scheme. It is about saving and living below your means and not spending more than what you make. If someone out there is making $1 million and they're spending $1.5 million versus someone out there who's making $100,000 and saving $50,000 a year, over its lifespan, the one that's making $1 million will become broke, and the ones that's saving $50,000 a year will one day become a millionaire. So that is the difference between living within your means versus someone who wants the best thing in life all the time and is willing to borrow money to get to that point. Number 3 is pay yourself first. A lot of times we get paid, and a lot of people just use that money and it's putting in the checking account, and they don't look at it, and then they just spend, and then at the next month they don't know how much money they have in their checking account anymore. And then that's how they go back to the previous debt, which is using debt to purchase things. So if you decide to be intentional about your money and you save your paycheck first, over time you will realize how much money you can save, and it will expand and grow to a large amount. My wife and I practice this all the time. She gets paid monthly and I get paid bi-weekly. And every time we get our paycheck, we set a certain percentage aside, whether that be 10, 15, 20, 30%, whatever you're comfortable with. Set it aside into a savings account and put that there, and make sure that money is meant for savings. And then later on, you can allocate some of that savings and put it into investment. But make sure you have money left at the end of the month that you could use to save, and that is the important part. A lot of people do not understand that, and they just want to live life, and overall, in the span of 10, 20, 30 years, the difference between saving even 15, 10% of your income versus someone who squanders it all is massive. So start saving, start tracking your expenses, figure out how much you get paid every month, figure out whether you get paid weekly, bi-weekly, once a month, doesn't matter. Or if you're an entrepreneur and you get paid randomly once every 2 months, once every 3 months, maybe it's a large check. Just make sure you're setting a certain amount of income away so down the road you will be able to have the savings. So when emergency comes or when a rainy day comes, we just experienced COVID-19 last year and a lot of people lost their jobs. So when something like that comes, you will be able to have the savings to rely on instead of dipping into your credit cards to purchase basic necessities like food, shelter, or clothing. Number 4, this is one of the most important steps for you to become wealthy, and that is to invest your money. So many people, especially young people, a lot of our friends, a lot of our families do not understand investing. And yes, investing can be very scary at times, but it is so important to start investing. Investing not only helps you grow your money, but it helps you beat inflation. Earlier, we just talked about savings. Savings is awesome, it's great, but that is the fundamental step that you need to learn to get to this next step, which is investing. So by saving and leaving your money in the bank account, say you have $1,000 a year, or better yet, say you just kept $100,000 in the bank account, and every year inflation is 2%, say, so every year that $100,000 is losing $2,000 every year by you just leaving it in a savings account. Yes, it's awesome. You're already ahead of a lot of people by saving money, but you are technically also losing money to inflation every single year if you are not growing your money. So do not just leave your money in a saving account, but allocate it into investment. Now, there are so many different types of investments, things like real estate, stock market, there is bonds that you can invest in, there is individual company stocks, there is ETFs, there's mutual funds. There's a ton of different options out there. So what is the best for you will depend on you. Some people are really into real estate. Some people are really into the market. Some people are really into cryptocurrency. As long as you understand what you're investing in and you do your research, I encourage you to start investing. And over time, you will see that money grow. And my personal preference is to invest in something in a low-cost index fund, something that's diversified in the US total stock market, or something that has exposure to international as well. And then over time, you just let that grow. You dollar cost average in, or you lump sum. And in a span of 20, 30 years, as interest compounds 7, 8, 9% yearly on average, you will see your wealth grow over time. And that is how you become wealthy. It is not the get rich quick scheme where you buy lottery tickets and all of a sudden you are a multimillionaire. This is proven investment strategy that's work. Make sure you put your money to work. Do not just let it sit there. And later on, we will make more videos on how to actually get into investments. But right now, understand investing. If you don't understand it, if you can't do it yourself, go find an advisor. There are a ton of advisors out there. There's no excuse really to not be able to get started. And nowadays in this modern age, there's so many online platforms, things like Robinhood, things like Questrade. There are so many different options out there for you to do DIY. And Google is an awesome resource where you can have lots of places to look for. There's lots of podcasts, books, things that you can listen to and read and to learn more about investing. Number 5. This ties into everything that we talk about. It is focusing on the long-term goal. Do not just focus on the daily goal. Yes, it is awesome to focus on how you can succeed in the short term, but you have to also look in the long term. A lot of times people want to get rich fast, and we talked about cryptocurrency, which is awesome if you understand it. But recently, if you look, a lot of people threw into Dogecoin. And yes, I'm sure there's a lot of people that make great money on it, but we never hear about the people that lost a lot of money on it. And same with GameStop. Just earlier in 2021, everyone went crazy in GameStop. People who didn't even understand what was going on heard about GameStop. And a lot of people put their money in, and a lot of people won, and even more probably lost their money. So focus on the long term. Don't focus on how can I get rich next month or how can I be rich next week. Instead, focus on 10 years, 15 years, 20 years down the road, what can I do to set myself up today so when I hit the age of 20, 30, 40, 50, then you can look back and be like, I did things right, so I can retire early and not have to worry about my finances, and be thankful that what you did now change what you're going to do in the future. So focus on the long term. Start small, whether we talked about getting out of debt. If you have a massive amount of debt, start by focusing on the smallest debt, or start by looking at things that you can cut out first in life, and do that over time. In the long run, you will become successful. An analogy where someone talks about how if you were to take an axe to chop down an entire forest, it would be impossible to do in one day. But if you do it daily, over time, that forest will be chopped down with a single axe. You just have to focus on the long-term goal. My wife and I, we are always talking about 10 years down the road, where do we want to be in life? 15 years down the road, where do we want to be in life? Becoming wealthy is not about focusing on just today. And you have to understand that starting something is hard, but over the long run, if you keep it consistent, it will become successful. You guys are doing great. And if you're watching this video, you're already trying to learn. And I hope you guys like this video, and comment below or leave a thumbs up. And I hope to make more of these videos. And thanks a lot, guys. Until next time, peace.